in the world did Ice Barrier manage to top a regional and find itself in second place of all things? Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more Oz content. Now, for this regional breakdown, this thing is an abnormality because to me, what happened at this regional makes absolutely no sense for your meta. Now, we have 3 Ryzeal variants coming into play out here. Now, you're like, oh, standard. Yeah, it is a standard day, actually. Ryzeal is still going to be one of the biggest challengers in the room. Ain't nobody, and I mean ain't nobody out here disagreeing with that. But you've also got Maliss that was running it behind out here as well, taking up 3 more slots. So 6 of your 8 decks in this top cut are what we would consider the strongest parts of the meta, which is not even the craziest part of this. Starting things off, we have Ice Barrier finding itself in second place of all things. So you're telling me somehow that Ice Barrier managed to climb over 3 Maliss decks and 3 Ryzeal decks to find itself sitting in second place. Yes, that is exactly what happened, and that is freaking insane to think about out here, that Ice Barrier had the chance to climb over all of this and sit here. But even crazier is we had a Centurion deck also step on over the Ice Barrier deck. Overcoming all of the Ryzeal and all the Maliss decks was actually Centurion. Now, this was also playing Bustos cards, which is not that surprising to me, honestly. The fact that this deck was able to, obviously use those Bustos to control the opponent, free bumps out of the graveyard, taking care of the Fiendsmith package. Yeah, this deck is able to do that. Also, honestly, if this deck goes first, has a pretty stupid board. And also, watching multiple Cosmic Blazar Dragons slam down is pretty ignorant. So there is that. But let's pass on over to those deck lists. Make sure you guys, please smash the living crap out of that subscribe button for Centurion, honestly. So, Centurion, So what in the world allowed this deck to survive and do so well? Well, I like to give a lot of the success up here to what I would say would be the Bustos farm. Being able to usually have a Bustos up and ready to bump something out of your opponent's graveyard is going to be an extremely valuable resource. I don't think a lot of people tend to realize just how stupid that these little guys can be. Now, obviously, you also have, Bustos Lubellion down here is going to get you free access to the Branded Regained. And also, let's call it what it is. That Regained triggers you on in to another, powerful card, like one of these many hand traps that you play. You got 3, 6, 9... 12, 14 of them. If you can find one of those hand traps to punish your opponent, where you're obviously setting on Oxwilla, you're probably going to win the game. That's usually how this deck works. Now, the other big thing is, if the meta doesn't have an answer to Crimson Dragon rolling out a Cosmic Blazar, like if this deck goes first and you roll up Cosmic Blazar, and by the time the second Cosmic Blazar sticks, you've won the game. That's all that this is going to be. If a Cosmic Blazar resolves, you're probably going into a stupid position. If the second Cosmic Blazar comes down, you're done. All right, that's all that there is. It just takes these 2 boss monsters resolving and sticking around, and congratulations, you've won the game. I know that's a pretty, big disappointment to say, but that's all it is. Most of this deck's main victory points are going to be to, Cosmic Blazar actually doing a thing. It's really funny. This card's actually just better than turn skipping your opponent. Honestly, Cosmic Blazar is an insane card. So yeah, you have some Centurion love, and that's insane. But this is where the real magic happens. We had Ice Barriers coming in to challenge the meta. Now, I'd like to point, I think, a lot of the success out here to Mr. General Ryo. We have been following the stupid interaction of Lancia being able to bring out the General Ryo for a little while. It is, it's a little bit annoying to see General Ryo touch down and just be this grind card, but if somebody had to do it, it has to be General Ryo. I remember, whenever your opponent's monster effect activates on the field resolves, they must discard one card, or that effect is negated. Anybody else find this wording to be very, very reminiscent of Cross? Because if you're not discarding a card, that effect's getting negated by General Ryo. It took this long for Ice Barrier players to go, oh crap, we actually have a card out here that can actually punish the meta. And that's what you've been getting with General Ryo. This is, the whole rest of the deck is just setting up very strong cards around the Lancia to be able to set up the General Ryo on the opponent's turn and just floodgate them straight out of the game. All right, I will tell you, a lot of the time they just don't have the ability to out this. It's actually kind of a shame, because you would figure that, should be relatively easy. Also, you can kind of bide your time a little bit to bring out the Ryo at a way more punishing time for the opponent. So there's that. You also do see we are also bringing out Warlock down here as well. I mean, hey, setting spell, this is just anti-spell fragrance on literal, insanity. The fact that Ice Barrier has some of the most unique effects in the game, and they just needed to kind of figure out how to make the deck actually use them. And, I mean, it took a while, but we've gotten somewhere, and I like that. Next up here, we have our Ryzeal variant. Now, I'm going to tell you that a lot of these Ryzeal builds, they tend to look the same out here, and it's really disappointing, because innovation with this deck has gone out the window. I've seen more innovation in pure Ryzeal and Mitsurugi Ryzeal than I have in the Fiendsmith variant. The most interesting thing that you're going to get out of these variants are going to be the amount of cards you're choosing to play and what those additional cards are going to be. Now, this deck chose to get a little bit saucy out here. Ooh, we're getting a little bit exciting. We went with an additional copy of Nibiru. I've seen some of these builds, honestly, just going with the 2 Nibiru and kind of rounding it out, the 40 cards, that's fine. And then the rest of the changes kind of decide, in the side deck. Am I going to play Perilli or am I going to play Maliss? That's going to be very dependent on where your meta is going to go. Do I want to have Thrust, or do I want to forego Thrust for another card? No, do I want the additional attack talents down here? Do I want the, this build also only went with 1 copy of Lightning Storm. You will see an argument across the field here of how many of each card do I want to play. This build also chose to do Solemn Strikes over Solemn Judgments. Quite honestly, Solemn Strike is a better card right now. Strike gives you the ability, having that negation of a monster effect is actually kind of insane. You'll notice that this format is very reminiscent to Zoo, where, Solemn Strike in Zoo format was a very prominent card. It allowed you to basically stop an entire Trident field from just going insane. And a lot of people, these days, kind of seeing that same pattern from back in the day. It's very cool that history repeats itself, but that's what you're looking at here. You have an incredibly strong case for this. But outside of that, once again, proves how stupid that this deck actually can be for what it is able to do in today's meta. And we got some Maliss action for you. Finally, somebody out here is feeling a little bit exciting. We actually are doing triple Allure of Darkness in here. Now, I love Allure in this deck. I think it is one of the more gimmicky things that you can do. Being able to draw into one of your many, many good cards. It's also why you choose to maximize Chessie Cat in this build. Chessie, if you see the Allure, you just banish it. Congratulations. You've got the key to the way more additional draw power out here. And you're just able to keep those bodies going. Now, this build is very Bysteel heavy. We are actually, obviously, like 3 Jerusalem is normal, in 1 Magna Hub, but, you normally don't see triple Baldrake running around here. But I think that this is partially because, you're maximizing those allures. If you do dead draw into a Bysteel, well, then, you can go ahead and punt it on out of the hand. That's not going to be an issue whatsoever. So that's actually kind of cool to see that, because of the way that the deck is, being tuned out, you can actually have the additional Bysteels in here and be able to make those decisions and go, and hey, look, you've also got some Solemn Strikes down here. You also have the ability to bring in Crossout Designator. Crossout's kind of been forgotten about a little bit. Definitely on a regional level, I think that this card feels a lot better, being able to, just shard out your opponent so that they can't actually Nibiru you or something. Spill doesn't even care about Nibiru. There's not even a Nibiru in sight. I guess stopping Phantasmage rolls, you know, the big Lancia. Well, that's a regional breakdown. So what do you guys think? Please, leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.